Everything is in place? You're serious?
Absolutely everything. The financing, the permits, even the buildings have been acquired.
A European operation? How fabulous. Should I be insulted that I wasn't told about this?
You may be. But the fact is, I wanted to keep all this under wraps. I only just told Ridge and Thorne this morning.
What did Brooke say?
She hasn't been told yet.
You've gone this far and you haven't consulted her?
I can't imagine that she would have any objection.
Oh, I can.
Oh, she's been talking about European expansion as much as we have.
On her terms, she's not going to let you go through with something like this without an enormous amount of input.
So help me, Stephanie, if she throws a wrench into this thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you can convince her it was her idea in the first place, it might work.
Oh, look, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I should be running this company. I should be making these kinds of decisions.
Look, let's not get all worked up. Let's just wait and see how she reacts, all right?
Well, Ridge is talking to her.
He is?
Yeah, he's discussing this very thing with her right now.
You're not thinking of sending him over to set up the operation?
Well, who would you suggest I send? Of course I'm sending Ridge. He knows more about this than anybody.
Well, what about his wife? That marriage wouldn't survive something like this.
I'm not saying that Taylor couldn't go with him if she wanted.
Eric, are you serious? She's a doctor. She's a professional woman. She has a career. She has patience. She can't just pack up and go and at a moment's notice.
Well, I seem to recall that she packed up and went off to Scotland for a couple of weeks. Oh, yeah, that was very different. That involved a very special patient of hers. This only involves her husband.
There's a lot to consider here, Logan.
Nonsense, Ridge. We have a job to do. This expansion could fall flat on its face if we're not there to guide it through.
But there are other factors and other people involved.
Ridge, this is the biggest event since belief. Are you telling me you could just miss out on it, just pass it all up?
Well, I don't know about that, Logan. What exactly would I be missing out on, really?
The opportunity to give this company international stature.
We're already international.
Ridge, we could be the biggest and the best design house in Europe. You know that. How could you turn your back on that opportunity? Forrester Creations would be the biggest label in the world. Your company, Ridge. Your company on top.
My company? But it's not my company, Brooke. It's mostly your company. And that makes me really wonder who this opportunity is really for.
Brooke Forrester.
Good morning, darling. It's James.
Oh. Hello.
You have something to tell me about last night?
About you and Connor.
What about us?
You really have no idea.
Should I?
You made love.
Well, yes, I know, Macy. We've been talking about that.
And you don't remember what happened?
Look, I'm not very proud of it. Would you stop rubbing it in?
Look, Karen, I am not rubbing it in, okay? But I do have something to say to you, and I think it is important.
Then say it.
Connor wasn't using anything, Karen. No condom, no protection. Nothing.
She was treating Warwick as a patient, so whatever was between them is over.
I shouldn't have said that.
I'd be delighted if Ridge and Taylor could go to Europe. It certainly would remove Taylor from any influence that Warwick might have, and it would take Ridge away from Brooke.
Well, there's no guarantee that Brooke won't want to go over there, nor is there any guarantee that Taylor will. Are you sure that Taylor's no longer seeing this Warwick person?
It's my understanding that she isn't treating him. However, I was at her house, and I did hear her talking to him on the phone.
Well, you're right. If Ridge goes to Europe and Taylor doesn't, it could easily be the end of their marriage.
Then let's just hope that she'd be willing to go.
Do you think she would be willing to
Oh,
go?
I don't know, Eric. I suppose it depends a lot on her career, the influence Warwick might or might not have. I don't know. I guess we can try and find out about it.
Stephanie, I wouldn't confront Taylor about this right now.
I hadn't planned on that. I thought I'd go have a chat with Dr. Warwick.
I wanted to call and thank you for last night.
Yes, it was fun, wasn't it?
It certainly was for me. I wasn't sure about you.
Well, I had a delightful time. Really.
Delightful enough to do it again sometime.
Twist my arm. Well, you know, I'm gonna have to check the calendar, but right now I'm in the middle of a meeting, so.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye, Brooke.
Goodbye. Now, where were we?
Your friend from last night.
Yes?
Sounds like you two really hit it off.
You were in the middle of an accusation, as I recall.
An accusation?
Before the phone call.
I was questioning who stands to gain the most from this European expansion.
Ridge, we all stand to gain.
Logan, let me ask you this. Whatever happened to your promise to give back controlling interest to this company?
Well, it wasn't a promise exactly.
You've already drawn up the papers.
Ridge, it's a big move. I really need time to think about it.
You've already had plenty of time to think about it, Logan.
Please, don't push me.
Logan, we have all been very patient with this, especially Dad. You know what he's been going through. The humiliation of working in a company that he founded and now somebody else is running it.
I know, Ridge. I have been very sensitive to that. I haven't pushed his face in it.
I know you haven't, but it's the principle of the thing. This is Dad's life's blood. It is not yours.
All right. I will make a decision one way or another. But, Ridge, we're talking about something very important here. Very important to me and very important to this company. I want you to spearhead the expansion in Europe. We can't do it without you. And we are going to do it. You, me, and the kids are going over there. And I want you to accept it.
I will accept it, Logan. Under one condition.
Connor didn't wear any protection?
No.
Why was he telling you that?
He found the unopened package on his bedside table.
Oh, that's really lovely.
Look, Karen, before you go blaming Connor.
I know it's as much my responsibility as it is his.
And alcohol played a big part.
I only had one drink. Who am I kidding? I must have had more than that. He spiked my drinks. That is what he did.
Look, Karen, I'm not defending Connor, but I will say this. He is worried.
Well, he damn well ought to be worried.
And he cares. He cares a lot. He cares a lot about you.
You say he cares about me. I have to wonder.
Well, I thought the same thing, Karen, until I talked to him. And now I know. He was not out to take advantage of you. I know that much for certain.
Oh, I don't think that he was out to take advantage of me. But it doesn't mean that it didn't end up that way.
True.
The question for me really is, does he love me or doesn't he? And There's no way I can tell, especially after the way he treated me last night.
Well, there is one way you can tell.
You mean how he treats me today?
That's right.
He must be flipped out.
Well, when he came out of the bedroom, he was about as white as a sheet.
No, he's about to get the best news he's heard in a while.
What's that?
I was wearing a diaphragm.
You were.
Never hurts to be safe.
Well, good for you.
Hey, you know what? My future's important to me, and I'm not about to leave it in the hands of some man. I don't care how much I love him.
And Connor doesn't know anything about this.
Well, I didn't exactly get around to telling him.
Oh, boy, is he gonna be relieved.
Yeah. Unless
you don't tell him?
Well, this might be an opportunity for a little test.
It might be an excellent opportunity.
Let him sweat it out a little while. See how much he really cares about me. If he blows me off because he thinks I might be pregnant, then that tells me a lot, doesn't it? What do you think?
It's risky.
Yeah, the truth can hurt. But I've got to know, Macy. I have to know how Connor feels about me if I'm important to him. I wonder, how will Connor treat the woman he was so anxious to make love to when he finds out that she might be pregnant?
Dr. Warwick?
Stephanie Forrester.
Well, you have the advantage. I didn't realize that you knew me.
Well, who doesn't?
May I come in?
Yes, of course. Please excuse my appearance. I was just getting ready for an appointment.
Forgive me for not calling ahead. Well, but this won't take very long.
How can I help you, Mrs. Forrester?
I'm not unaware of the interest that you've taken in my daughter-in-law, and I'm here to ask you to stop.
Oh, but I have stopped. I hadn't seen Taylor for days.
But you spoke to her on the phone.
Oh? You have her phones tapped.
I hadn't thought about that.
Please go on, Mrs. Forrester.
Taylor has a great deal of respect for you. It's my understanding that you were her mentor at the university, and I would hope, as a mentor, that you would continue to do what is best for her and stay away.
Perhaps I should call her just one last time.
Why would you do that?
To find out why you're here. To see what motivated this sudden concern. Something must be going on.
Ridge and Taylor are trying to put their marriage back together again, and they don't need any outside influence.
If that were the case, then you would leave well enough alone. You wouldn't approach me like this. Something else.
I suspect that you're a dangerous man, Dr. Warwick. I think you know exactly the kind of hold that you have on Taylor. She respects you. She has a great professional admiration for you. Don't take advantage of that.
You're worried about more than my taking advantage. It's Ridge and Taylor, isn't it? Their marriage isn't as ironclad as you would have me believe.
Oh, I believe that they are both committed to that marriage and that no one and nothing is going to change it.
And yet you stand here imploring me to stay away.
There's a chance that Ridge and Taylor might have to go to Europe. There's a chance also that Ridge might go alone. If that were to happen, and I were to find out that your interest in my daughter-in-law were to continue, I would be very upset. And I would deal with it forcefully and firmly. I would fight you, Dr. Warwick. And believe me, I would win.
You're laying down stipulations for going to Europe?
That's right.
Ridge, I don't bargain over something like this.
You'll bargain for this, Logan, or I'm not going. And if I don't go, we don't expand.
All right. What is it?
I'll go with you to Europe. If and only if you give controlling interest to this company back to my father.
I'm beginning to understand what's happening. Ridge is going away and Taylor is staying behind.
That's not what I said.
But you think that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Regardless of what happens, I want you to stay away from my daughter-in-law. Do you understand?
You're fighting a losing battle, Mrs. Forrester.
Am I?
Let me tell you why. Ridge and Taylor are going to self-destruct. And it's nothing to do with me. It has to do with your son. He has no concept of what it takes to commit to a relationship. None whatsoever.
How dare you say that?
But it's the truth. If he were committed to his marriage, then he would stay away from Brooke Forrester.
Brooke happens
I know
to
she
be
happens to run your company, so he has to work around her. Well, that's nonsense. That is an excuse. Brooke Forrester is a threat to his marriage. He knows it, and so do you. Allow me to give you a professional opinion, Mrs. Forrester. I shall give it to you for free. It is based on 15 years' experience. There is no rationale, no justification, no extenuating circumstances that warrants your son relating to Brooke Forrester in any way. The fact that she runs your company is just an excuse. He shouldn't be allowed near her, not within 10 miles of her, not if he values his marriage. And yet he doesn't value his marriage. And although he would never admit this to you, let alone to himself, the reason he works around Brooke is not because he has to, but because he wants to. Ridge is keeping that door open for himself, even at the expense of his marriage.
Thank you for the enlightenment. Imagine 15 years as a psychiatrist, and you can so easily justify your shallow sense of ethics.
I have no idea what you are talking about.
I'm sure you don't. But you are correct about one thing. Ridge should stay away from Brooke. And you should stay away from Taylor. You shouldn't see her, you shouldn't talk to her, you shouldn't write to her. Any form of communication between the two of you is wrong. And if it were to continue on your part, it would do so for one reason and one reason only, so that you could weaken her defenses and you could make her vulnerable to you. Now, don't deny that. You can't stand there as a psychiatrist and look me in the eye and say that that isn't the truth. Before you are so quick to condemn my son, you'd better take one long look at your own behavior, Doctor. This has been a very enlightening chat. I hope I never see you again, Dr. Warwick.
Controlling interest?
That's what I said, Logan.
We'll discuss it, Ridge.
No, you'll agree to it, or I stay here.
So if I were to give you 2% of the company, that would make your share 51% and mine 49, of course. And you would agree to relocate to Europe to spearhead this operation.
That's the bottom line.
And I would have to give up control of Forrester.
This expansion, Logan, would double your net worth.
My net worth means very little to me at the moment. It's the thought of going to Europe with you and the children, Ridge, and living out a dream of building a company over there. I mean, that idea is utterly irresistible to me.
So what's it gonna be?
Well, what about Taylor?
What about her?
Does she have the power to veto this?
Look, I will deal with my wife.
She may not want to go to Europe, Ridge.
Then she'll stay.
You would go without her?
Look, if you give controlling interest to this company back to my father, I will go to Europe. Yeah, that's what I said. Now, is it a deal or isn't it?
No tricks?
No tricks.
All right, Ridge. I will give the company back to your father. And you and I will open up a European dynasty. It's a deal.